All right. Morning, folks. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site dedicated to legacy death and taxes, and today we're going to be playing some Shardless BUG. I woke up this morning, kind of considered streaming some legacy, looked and saw that no one was streaming, and figured this might be a good day to knock out one of my other random donation deck lists that's in the queue. So this stream is brought to you by Raymond V, who donated to see some Shardless BUG, and I'm playing with the exact deck list that he sent me. The main deck is, I don't really want to say relatively stock, because I don't really know that there is a stock for Shardless BUG right now. But this is what I imagine the deck should look like. Assassin's Trophy seems like a relatively good upgrade over Abrupt Decay. It's just going to be dead less of the time when you're just kind of spinning the wheel with Shardless Agent and you randomly hit it. You know, if your opponent isn't playing lands, then hey, sometimes you get a free sinkhole off your Shardless Agent, which seems pretty sweet. Something that didn't see a lot of play in Shardless BUG, but you know, you'd see it in a list from here or there, was a Delve Threat. So I've got one Tombstalker at the very top end as just sort of like a 5/5 flying nasty boy. The sideboard has a lot of things that are good to just like randomly cascade into, because that's what the deck is built around. So you don't see things like, you know, Daze and Spell Pierce in these sorts of decks usually. Even in the sideboard, unless they're just such a powerful effect like Flusterstorm that it's worth that occasional awkwardness. So something that I've never seen in this deck before is Compost, which is kind of neat. So whenever a black card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may draw a card. So all thought sees you. Oh, you put a black card into your graveyard, I'll draw a card. Oh, you used a removal spell on my creature, I'll draw a card. It seems sort of neat. Might get sort of wacky in some matchups. Dredge came to mind, but I don't think that's probably gonna show up. Otherwise, you know, in the sideboard, there's a handful of graveyard hate. Like we've got one cage, two surgicals. Otherwise, we have sort of a mix of additional removal spells in Edict's Deluge and Golgari Charm, as well as a handful of disruptive elements. Click, Thoughtseize, Flusterstorm, and the library and Compost are just there kind of for value. So I'm just going to jump into some matches, just play some Legacy this morning. I considered playing in the Legacy Challenge, but I have some plans later in the day, probably at about 3 or 3:30, and the Legacy Challenge is not going to wrap up by then. So, womp womp for me. No results for my opponent. I don't really know what they're doing. I don't have any real, like, early interaction, like a turn 1 play at all, but I don't think that's the end of the world. I have a relatively powerful rest of my hand otherwise. So I'll lead Underground Sea, as it's a little less telling the bayou. Are we just going to get dredged? Reanimator. Well, I guess it could still be Dredge. Probably Dredge. Okay, so in game 1, I'm kind of soft to Dredge, unfortunately. My opponent's hand currently doesn't have any Dredgers. If they had Dredgers, they like 100% go into the graveyard. So I could try to hymn them in order to get things like Breakthrough out of their hand. It's a little bit iffy because I could end up helping them by, like, say, putting a bridge into their graveyard or something. But that's going to happen with the LED anyway at some point. This is weird. Ugh. Yeah, Worm, you came at the right time to see me get dredged. I'm going to hymn them and try to take something like a Breakthrough. Putrid Imp and Archamoeba. Alright, time walk myself. And this indeed helps them. It allows them to bring back the Ichorid by exiling the Putrid Imp. Yeah, so Grand Arbiter, the opponent had no Dredger in hand after doing a Faithless Looting. Alright, there's the Breakthrough I was trying to get. So how bad was this? There's 2 bridges in the bin yet, no Cabal Therapy. Yeah, I think the hymn line was a fine line. I just think it didn't work out. And, you know, it is what it is in that regard. I'm super soft to Dredge anyway. Okay. So I'm going to get ground into the dust here. I can make a large Tarmogoyf, or I can kind of like roll the dice with Shardless Agent and try to do something. Or I can just concede and move on. Alright, push is actually a pretty good draw. So, Orem, when I was first talking about like the compost, I said it'd be pretty funny against Dredge, but that's probably not going to come up. And sure enough, we get paired against Dredge. So they might Dredge, and I get to like draw 3 cards, which is neat. Okay, three bridges in the yard now. Okay, do I have something like a Toxic Deluge in the main deck? Nope. Well, we tried. So I can block 2 of these zombies, take 18, 19, plus Icarid damage. Even if I produce 2 more blockers, or like I fatal push my own stuff to get rid of bridges, I'm just dead here. And I'm gonna have three cards to mulligan to, essentially, and Force of Will to a lesser extent. So like I want the Deluge, I'll probably play the Compost to the Cage. Surgical's Fluster, probably Thoughtseize too. So that's the pile of stuff that's probably coming in. Hymn to Turok as a whole is probably not a great Magic card against this deck. Assassin's Trophy can blow up lands or creatures, but all in all, seems like a pretty weak card. Lily on the Veil making them sacrifice or discard both seems mediocre. That would put me at about the right numbers. What's my blue count at? Alright, blue count's fine. I have a bunch of these hybrid cards. This is probably okay. A Click might be better than a Leovold. Like, Leovold's nice if it comes down early before they get, like, their breakthrough and looting and such going, but otherwise is pretty mediocre. I can see Click being fine just to, like, surprise get a Narcomoeba that's attacking. Yeah, I can consider the Assassin's Trophy. Like, I know it can get the lands, and that's cool, but is that actually good? Like, if they already get a Dredger into the graveyard, the lands don't matter. It seems like a strategy. I don't know that it's one I want to take. Although, like, Assassin's Trophy might be better than Ancestral Vision. If my opponent keeps a hand that only has one way to get creatures into the graveyard, this is okay. But I don't know that this is a hand that wins the game. Like, I'd much rather have, like, one of my Surgicals or Cages or 2 pieces of Disruption rather than just 1. I think I'm going to ship this one. Well, this one I'll keep. So I have a Flusterstorm for the first thing that would put something into the graveyard. and that can go to the bottom. I guess I can just play Compost on turn 2, which will potentially draw me an absurd number of cards. Alright, that's awkward. Flusterstorm doesn't get that. Or that. So opponent's not cracking LED here. I guess I'm supposed to counter this. Well, I'm supposed to try to counter this, and my opponent can bin both LEDs in order to pay for it. So Storm's currently 3. So yeah, that's worth it. So now my opponent can crack an LED in order to use this. If that happens, so if opponent had double Thug, it was 100% correct to just like crack the first LED. In response to their own spell, but it is what it is. Yeah, the challenge starts in like 5 minutes. So the hope here is that my opponent draws me into a surgical extraction here. And then I can surgically extract, like, Bridge from Below or Icarid. And this is potentially where my hand gets shredded into oblivion. But my opponent only has 1 bridge right now, so it's not actually that big of a deal. Morning, Army of Thalia. I don't know that Shardless Agent is the correct name there. I think you're supposed to take my Fatal Pushes so that I can't, for example, play Baleful Strix and Fatal Push it to clear out any bridges. I think that's a pretty big deal. So I guess I should fetch before this dredge happens, because I need a black source in play to Fatal Push my own Baleful Strix this turn. Oh, have fun with TwitchCon. Alright. Still no Graveyard 8 here. So three bridges in there now. So going and Fatal Pushing my own Baleful Strix is gonna feel pretty sweet. And I probably just want to do it here for mana efficiency. I've got approximately 1 billion cards. And one little poke with a Baleful Strix isn't going to make that big of a difference. So 3 bridges are gone, so Icarids are the big things that I have to worry about at this stage. I don't really know if I want to tap out. I guess tapping out's fine. I have Force at Will. I kind of want to Baleful Strix and try to hit a land. It's kind of my limiting factor of the moment. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8 cards. All right, do I want to suspend Ancestral Vision, or do I want to just hold up Flusterstorm and Fatal Push my Strix? Probably hold up my stuff. Pitch the redundant copy of Leo. So if you draw, it's a replacement effect. It's something that happens instead of drawing a card. So Leovold does not interact with Dredge the way I want it to. Fine with just trading this here. I can play another creature on my turn very easily. Again, just to use mana, I'm going to Brainstorm, just try to filter some stuff off here. So I guess I can use this as an opportunity to set up Shardless Agent, like set up Shardless Agent into Tarmogoyf to just get a good amount of power onto the battlefield. Hey, Arkin, welcome. I don't really need to like waste on my opponent's one land. That's not really doing anything at this point. Welcome to Evil Mailman. Morning. All right. And again, I'll probably leave the Fatal Push up. Once I Fatal Push and remove the last bridge from my opponent's deck, I can probably grind through Icarids or mill them out or something like that. I already played a land. I can just go ahead and move to my end step. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Discard a land. And I can probably discard the second Force of Will. Oh man, only 60 people in the Legacy Challenge. I regret not registering then. But I had early afternoon plans, so I couldn't really play. Still haven't hit one of those graveyard cards in half our deck. Last bridge is not there yet. You would like to Cabal Therapy me? Nah. Alright, Tombstalker seems pretty awesome. So Compost is great against Dredge. This card's sweet. I'm gonna have to like keep an eye on the number of cards in my library. But I'm winning that race versus my opponent currently. Alright, I have a Surgical Extraction. I can surgically extract the Icarids, and I can blow up the last bridge from below this turn. I guess it would have been better to do that after blocks. I would have saved myself 3 damage. I'm going to start saying no to this. I think I have plenty of cards. And my opponent's done with me. So I think for the value, Compost is the greatest mana cost per card drawn value I've ever seen in this matchup specifically. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this one. I have no disruptive elements in this opening hand, and I can't, like, brainstorm and fetch. Well, I have this awesome card, but no lands. This hand does nothing and is going to get overrun by Dredge. But it has 2 lands. Is that good enough? Probably not. At this stage, I probably need to try to mulligan into one of these 3 cards. Or something that can stop my opponent from getting their first Dredger into the graveyard. It's unfortunate, but I think that's where I'm at. Ugh. I'll take that second land. I mean, the 6 has lands and Brainstorm, but nothing else that matters. I don't think that 6 wins. Alright. Well, the good news is I get to take this Faithless Looting. The bad news is that Cephalid Coliseum is going to destroy me. And they hit my Brainstorm. That's unfortunate. So I kind of think they played their turn wrong. I think they were supposed to Cabal Therapy themselves for a Dredger, and then try to go ham with Cephalid Coliseum. Like, they can even Cabal Therapy themselves twice to get both Stinkweed Imp and the Golgari Grave Troll out of their hand. And then just wreck me with Cephalid Coliseum. Like, it's not going to matter because my hand's garbage at this point. Pretty sure I'm on the 0 outs. Like, I block one of these, and then there's no Icarid I die to, but I won't be able to, like, Deluge the following turn or anything. Womp womp. Got dredged. That's kind of the expected result of this matchup, though. A very, very minimal interaction with them in Game 1, so Game 1 I was soft to. Game 2 went swimmingly with Compost. It was kind of hilarious. Alright. I don't know what my opponent is playing, but I'm on the play, and I have the potential of turn 2 him. I'm going to go ahead and keep this one. Ooh, new Chalice of the Void Art. Ooh, so tough choice. I can either just, like, Wasteland my opponent, or I can hymn them this turn. I think I'm just going to go ahead and Wasteland them. In all likelihood, the hymn will still do a significant amount of damage next turn. This will also give me a turn to figure out whether or not my opponent is... Okay, chat. What deck is my opponent playing? My current guess is, like, Tezzerator? My opponent is fucking playing Splinter Twin. They just pitched Deceiver Exarch. What is this deck? No, they legit pitched Deceiver Exarch to that. And then they cycled Ash Barrens. Alright, well, we're gonna lose to this pile. I'm not going to concede, because, like, if I draw, say, basic forest, then I can play some very big Tarmogoyfs. Yeah, you can't really effectively play a Chalice of the Void in Painter. Like, too many of your, like, blasts and combo pieces and tutor cards are at 1 CMC. Oh, great, another one. Well, life's bad now. So with the Chalice on 1 and a Chalice on 2, in order to win, I would have to draw both Island and Forest to cast Shardless Agent. We've got 17 turns. Please draw a combo piece. Alright. So this will destroy Blood Moons and Twins. Instant speed interaction seems like a good thing. This will take Chalices. I'll consider Flusterstorms and Libraries, but Flusterstorms won't actually interact with the combo pieces, so that's a touch awkward. So how do I board? Well, Violent a Creature, we're playing against Legacy Splinter Twin right now. So that's what's up. Yeah, that was a great stream. The guest streams have been awesome. I'm doing another one tomorrow night. Jace seems really slow. I feel like I'd want to try not to tap out if I can. Lomer Boy will be the guest. Connor Fulse? I forget his last name exactly. It's something approximating that. Maybe I'm supposed to, like, play less of a value game and just kind of, like, rely on the power of my inexpensive cards to close this gap. Like, Leovold is a card that I can see being good, but I don't actually know how much, like, card draw my opponent has. So maybe I'll trim some of those. Maybe trim some Shardless Agents. And just kind of play with the cards that are given to me. Oh no, I don't want to submit a 61 card deck. But I did. Cervex, the idea is that you're... I'm going to put this on top and potentially shuffle it away. The idea is that you're playing Assassin's Trophy so that you can reliably Shardless Agent into it and not have to worry. Jealous on one. Well, okay, that happens. And now I'm thinking about this hymn. If I get Blood Moon, I think I get Blood Moon. I don't think I can afford to play around at this game. I think I'm going to try to get my opponent with the hymn. Ensnaring Bridge, okay. Thoughtseize does nothing, this push does nothing. So I've got this awkward Golgari Charm, or I play Tarmogoyf. I don't think I can live in complete fear for this entire game. I'm going to get a clock into play, and then I'll hold Golgari Charm up for the rest of the game. Yay! Rewarded for not living in fear. So I know I said I was going to hold him up for the rest of the game, but this is probably too good to pass up on. Looks like my opponent is basically sitting on all mana. That's fine. I can Golgari Charm and kill this now, or I can hold up Golgari Charm. It's probably better to hold up Golgari Charm, because then I can use it to beat a Blood Moon. Or if my opponent goes for a combo, I've got that as well. And then end of turn, I'll use Golgari Charm. Wonderfully, that puts both an instant and a sorcery, or sorry, a creature and an instant into the graveyard, making my Tarmogoyf bigger. Alright, so now I know my opponent has Ensnaring Bridge. Is that going to change anything that I do? Probably not. Actually, it does kind of make me want to have Jace. Just as a... I guess I have Lily of the Veil to win through Bridge. Yeah, I do nothing a lot. I accidentally submitted 61 cards last time, so now we'll trim the other Shardless Agent. They're kind of awkward. I guess that does put my blue count a little bit low for Force of Will. If I cut like Shardlesses and Leos and Jace. It's a touch awkward. Maybe Shardless is better than Lily of the Veil. Mostly because it's blue. I'm much more comfortable with my blue count here. And I really need to be able to force. I mean, Ancestral's still fine as a turn 1 play. Don't really know why they're fetching there, but okay. So, do I want to try to get basics this game? Probably. So I could get blue off this one, black off this one, and then green off anything that follows. I'm going to plan on pitching the Shardless Agent to Force of Will, so I wouldn't miss having the green for a little while. Pitch Pestermite. Well, that's annoying. Let's see if I can draw into a force. This resolving is really bad news for me. Nope, I'm brainstorm locked. Which will probably mean I'm dead if the third card down isn't Swamp. Goblin Master kills unchecked in 4 turns. Opponent did not attack with their Goblin Rabblemaster and missed out on an absurd amount of damage there. Which is great for me. We'll take that. My gosh, my opponent is missing out on so much damage. Unfortunately, I still have no spells that I can cast, so it doesn't really matter. I could just be dead now. Rough. Not really getting to play much real Magic this stream, unfortunately. Like, we got Dredge with basically no interaction. Then we got Blood Moon 2 games in a row with basically no interaction. That's frustrating. I can go turn to him, so I keep this hand. Alright. Playing against Storm. I have a Leovold that I'm really hoping I hit my land for. We just took a lot of mana out of my opponent's hand. Man, are they just going off through him? Oh, this might be the gamble go off. This is the gamble go off. Just like brainstorm and pray. I respect this. The gamble did not pay off. Oh. Alright. I put a good amount of power into play here. Alright, well that was easy. Alright, so we're playing against Tess. I'll want Golgari Charm and Toxic Deluge as answer to Goblins. I'll play Click as another disruptive element. Flusterstorm, Surgicals, Thought Seizes all seem fine. Probably won't play Cage. Like, they can win via Past in Flames, but that's not necessarily game plan number one. So push will come out. Trophy will come out. I guess Shardless Agent is a little slow, right? I don't necessarily... Well... Yeah, Shardless seems kind of medium. It was very good that game. But that's kind of because our opponent blew their load in trying to go off and failed. Maybe Tombstalker isn't early enough pressure. So maybe I'll trim on that stuff. And trim one generic beater. How does that leave my blue count? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, okay. Still tons and tons and tons of blue cards. This all seems fine. Though I suppose it's possible I'm supposed to, like, trim a land to leave in one more, like, threat. I can't turn 3 Leovold with this hand, and it's very possible that I get Brainstorm locked. I also have no pieces of disruption currently, so I'll mull this one. With a blue land, this hand becomes very good. How many hits for blue land do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 hits for blue land. Opponent is on Tess. So I have 15 out of 54 hits, and I need to hit in 3 cards. That's probably better than the average 5. I'll keep this, and I'll bottom that Wasteland. So one of the things that I liked about this hand is that if my opponent does disrupt me, I have 2 different pieces of removal spell, which are sort of good against Plan A. So I don't hate all that. Alright, so now we're hoping for any non-wasteland land. The good news is my opponent doesn't have all that many cards. The bad news is, like, a couple of goblins probably would be good enough to beat me. Like, if my opponent just goes, like, rit goblins or something like that, that's probably good enough at this point. Yeah, 12 goblins seems fine. Alright, we took a gamble with the mulligan. It didn't pay out. I don't regret it. Don't think I want to change anything about how I sideboarded. Alright, Force, him, Surgical, and Leovold. His hand's great. I drew, like, 30 cards with Compost when I was playing against Dredge earlier. Ooh. If my opponent goes to Brainstorm, I'll probably force it. This will allow me to get, like, good cards out of their hand, rather than, like, let them hide their best stuff. Because I can't cast this Leovold next turn anyway. This might be needlessly aggressive. Actually, no, I probably just let this happen and then Surgical, like, literally whatever I am, to shuffle their library. Oh yeah, like, I'm 100% fine with getting rid of Burning Wishes. Oh, man! I guess I should snip this. So, my opponent doesn't really have anything all that interesting, so there's essentially one copy of Empty the Warrens that they have to win the game with. Oh, sorry, here's the Tentacles, I missed it before. Alright. So, Adnaw's Duress Island. So if I let my opponent duress me, they take either Force of Will or Thoughtseize. If I Force of Will this duress, I can Thoughtseize their Adnaws, and then Wasteland their Underground Sea, which I think I like. Alright, so they have Rite of Flame left over. I'm actually not going to Wasteland them here. I think I like 100% want to play Shardless Agent next turn. I'll Wasteland them if I draw another land. And we get a freebie here. If I were my opponent, I would have considered holding on to that duress. We basically just don't want to hit Flusterstorm. Him. Deal. Goodbye, Rite of Flame. I think I'm going to Brainstorm. Hitting a Tarmogoyf to increase my clock greatly would be nice. Well, all these cards are kind of bad. So I'll hide Deluge, 2 down. Thoughtseize, 1 down. I'll take this card, whatever it is. So I have a Deluge on top, which I'm not going to cast next turn, so I'll go ahead and nug this. So then my next turn is Baleful Strix and hopefully draw into something nice. Ooh, another Surgical Extraction. Don't know what that does yet. So my next goal is to use this Surgical Extraction to nug a Infernal Tutor. And then my opponent basically has to naturally draw either Empty or Tendrils. That's fine. So they probably go and get Past in Flames. And then when they go to cast Past in Flames, I can surgically extract the Infernal Tutor. Let me just confirm that this is a good idea. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They could try to add Naws from 5, but I'm okay with that happening. Violin Creature, one of my friends played Shardless BUG for a little while with like an enchantment sub package. It was okay. I don't think it was particularly anything special, but it certainly had legs. With the metagame as fair as it is right now, like you could probably do something like that. There are old deck lists floating around that have like, wow, the storm count is 8. I will just die if my opponent finds Tendrils. All right, now they don't have enough mana. Yep. All right, didn't really expect to lose that there with both Burning Wish and Infernal Tutor extracted, but there you go. Well played by my opponent. So, just kind of like sharing some of my thoughts on this deck list so far. Without Deathrite Shaman, this deck just feels slow. I just don't feel like I have that many powerful starts. Like, even if we kind of like treat these all as like true turn one plays, I just don't have that many things to do early on. In the games where I'm like short on mana, I just feel terrible. You know, we're a bit color intensive with a whole bunch of double spells. And I guess we're playing against like the really combo-y side of the spectrum, and like Shardless BUG just really wants to play against a bunch of the fair stuff, so like we kind of got the short end of the straw with that. Which is, you know, it is what it is. Legacy's pretty open right now, so you can get paired against whatever. But I'm not feeling the high of riding the value train like I often do, or like I often did in the past when I played with Shardless BUG. Yeah, Leovold definitely feels so much worse than it used to without like Deathrite Shaman as an accelerant. I agree with that. I don't exactly know what I'd change, like if I were to play this again. But I just feel like I want some more stuff down here, maybe rather than these. Like, yeah, some main deck Thought Seizes or even something like Ponder feels like it would be good. The good news is I'm great at winning die rolls. Yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, anytime I have one of these, like, low-land hands, they're just unplayable. Yeah, I think much more time has been put into refining Grixis. Oh, jeez. My opponent is playing Serum Powder Eldrazi with Eternal Scourge that you can go and play from exile. That's hilarious. Yeah, okay, so my opponent has Serum Powdered twice, and there's now 2 Eternal Scourges in exile. So, this is gonna be weird. I probably want another Tarmogoyf. Awkwardly, it means I don't have my 3rd land. And if I get wastelanded, like, I'm super duper dead. But I think I just want to roll, like, him into Tarmogoyf this game. If my opponent just, like, tries to chalice me or something, I'm not going to care all that much about that. Yeah, that's irrelevant the way this game is going currently. Alright, let's hope I get the remaining good stuff out of their hand here. Well, I got 2 lands. We'll see if that's good. We may have just mised one here. Alright, now my opponent's just going to play double Eternal Scourge from exile. My opponent's deck is neat. I will give them that. How many 1s do I have to hit if I play Shardless Agent? Just 6. There's pretty huge upside of Shardless Agent into something good. And I don't mind chump blocking with the Shardless Agents for a turn in order to grow my Tarmogoyfs. Perfect. Oh, there was another Eternal Scourge in there that I missed. Neat. Alright. So I can play Tarmogoyf and Wasteland, or I can roll the dice with Shardless and Wasteland. I think I just want to put the Tarmogoyf into play. Do I want to attack with this Tarmogoyf? No, I don't. I think I messed up my turn. I think I was supposed to play Shardless pre-combat to see if I found something to get rid of an Eternal Scourge. So here I'll trade a Tarmogoyf for an Eternal Scourge. And then I'll have my second Tarmogoyf as backup. Ooh, my opponent just takes the hit. That's wonderful for me. So I have Leovold and Force of Will, but the Force of Will might not do anything since my opponent has double Cavernous Souls. Alright. Serum, Powder, Eldrazi. What do I want? Probably want my Edicts. I probably want this Deluge, even though it can be a painful way to answer opposing creatures. And I guess I would consider Thoughtseizes just as another way to hit the big creatures. It's bad against Chalice, but otherwise pretty good at stopping like the cards you actually care about, things like Reality Smasher. Alright, so this isn't really a Leovold matchup. I actually like most of the cards that I have access to. I wonder if I'm just overboarding and I shouldn't actually play these. And I should just like play around Chalice to the greatest extent that I can. Goyf and Strix are going to outclass a lot of their things. I'll have Assassin's Trophy, Push, Edict, Lily. Yeah, I actually feel pretty good about this. Maybe I don't need the Thoughtseizes. Might want them on the play, maybe not on the draw. Well, welcome back, Sort of Quick. Actually, is Force of Will even good? Like, I can force a Chalice, but I'm not going to be able to force a lot of the Eldrazi due to Cavernous Souls. Maybe I trim one of those. That seems reasonable to me. I think Thoughtseize is definitely better than Force on the play. Force might be better on the draw. I'm not entirely sure how the like serum powders change this matchup. All right, my opponent just kept 7 this time. I'll keep 7 as well. Like, I have an Ancestral to start on, and a second land that'll let me him seems pretty great. I don't care about your Ratchet Bomb. You can have that. Ooh, perfect. So I'm just gonna go ahead and suspend this. And I'll force pitching Brainstorm for pretty much whatever threat my opponent plays out. Oh, come on. Thought not me. Thought not me. Is that worth a force? Doesn't really feel worth a force. The thing is that, like, if I wait and my opponent draws Cavern, it's super bad if I don't force. I think I'm going to keep the board clear. Not sure if that decision is correct. Wasteland Cavern Souls. Man, super glad I used the force last turn. I think aggressively forcing is also good, considering that I have that Ancestral ticking down. Ooh, second Cavern. Ooh, but opponent has Fluff in hand, apparently. I'll take both of them, though, just in case one of them is real big. They're not. So I'm going to play out my Baleful Strix here. I don't really want to like play Tarmogoyf into the Ratchet Bomb. I'd love to just continue making land drops with this. Alright, so my opponent can Thought Not Seer me and take one of my 2 removal spells, and I'll still get to answer it. Which is nice, because then I'll get to draw a new card to replace it. Well, I have an absolute wealth of riches now. I'm going to go ahead and use an Edict here. My opponent may play some non-creature spells that I might need to take off the table. It's a low chance, but it's something I need to be aware of. So I'll go ahead and Edict. Can you tell that this deck misses Deathrite Shaman? Like, I have so many cards, and I just can't deploy them. Like, I'm on one card a turn currently. Alright, another Hatchet Bomb. Cool. I probably don't need to take my opponent's one card. I continue doing what I was doing and just play Baleful Strix, try to hit lands. It's gonna be embarrassing if I have to, like, start discarding cards. I don't really want to play another 2-drop into the board. I don't really want Assassin's Trophy a Ratchet Bomb. So I guess I'll just take, presumably, a land from my opponent here. Yeah. Alright, so now the Ratchet Bombs are gone, and I can just play out some Tarmogoyfs and take over this game and ignore Eternal Scourge. Really, really, really want to draw a 4th land, though. A push is a fine substitute. So I'll attack with Tarmogoyf. If my opponent double blocks, I'll fetch and push Matter Reshaper. If they don't, I'll just do exactly what I did last turn and play another Tarmogoyf. Kind of just want to push a Reshaper for mana efficiency here. I'm getting into the territory where I'm just like very, very likely to have to discard if I don't play some spells or draw another land. Why are you running Stalker? Another Eternal Scourge is kind of annoying. I'm running Stalker because the list that I copied had Stalker in it. That's the honest answer. There weren't very many Shardless BUG lists floating around that I could use as a starting point, so I'm fine just taking the 2-for-1 here. Opponent gets an Eldrazi Temple. Is there anything bad I can hit with Shardless Agent that wouldn't like present lethal next turn? I could hit him, Brainstormer Vision, and not have lethal next turn. But I think I'm a huge favorite to win this one, so I don't think I'm in any hurry. That's just way better than playing out a Tarmogoyf. Alright, well now I have 3 creatures on board. So I can go ahead and just Assassin's Trophy Endbringer. And then swing in for lethal. Yeah, so like bug colors are fun, but I don't feel like this deck is particularly good. At least not the way that it's built. I didn't want my opponent to concede. As soon as that resolved and I was going to attack, I was going to, concede to them. It is what it is, because I was dead for prizes. Like, I feel like if you want to play a bug deck, you need to shift the curve lower to the ground. So, like, some of this, like, Tombstalker, Leovold type stuff should probably just be more 1-drops to interact with my opponent. I don't think you can, like, play the traditional Shardless curve of, like, staying super heavy up here. I don't even know if this deck is supposed to play Wasteland anymore, truth be told. Like, without Deathrite Shaman, the Wastelands feel pretty bad. So if I were going to change this deck, I'd probably play a couple more 1-drops, and I'd consider cutting the Wastelands just for more colored sources. Like, I'm not... I'm not convinced that Wasteland is where this deck wants to be if you want to deploy multiple cards a turn without Deathrite Shaman around. So for anyone who tuned in after my introduction, hello, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a site dedicated to legacy, death, and taxes, and today we're playing a donation deck list from Raymond V. We are playing Shardless BUG. We are currently 1-3 though, so it's not going fantastically. Yeah, I'll keep this one. I didn't really want to fetch, so Creeping Tar Pit can't let me suspend Visions on one, which is something I really want to do, so I wanted to save that fetch since I have, like, double Brainstorm, but it is what it is. And I have to get Underground so that I can him on turn 2. Yeah, I can see that if you want to play this deck, like, shoving some Noble Hierarchs in there seems totally reasonable to do. Like, it's clearly worse than Deathrite Shaman. But it is what it is. I just expect this to get hard counterspelled. Yep. And now let's just see if we lose to Back to Basics this turn. No. Sweet. So I presume at this stage that we're playing against Miracles, so we're going to hope to outvalue them. Which can be hard to do. I'd love to draw into something like Liliana of the Veil so I can start pressuring their hand. This Wasteland's going to be good. Yeah, the idea with Shardless is that you're supposed to out-attrition all of the other, like, value-y mid-range sorts of decks. So I'm going to save this Wasteland for the flipped Search for Azcanta in a couple of turns. So I don't want to just blow this off on the Tundra right now. I'm going to go ahead and Brainstorm and see what I can do with the rest of this here. Alright, I don't really need Fatal Push. And I probably don't need the Swamp. So let's fetch those away. Get a black land of some nature. I could start considering getting my basics to play around Back to Basics, but I don't even know if that's a good idea. Maybe I should. It's kind of free, too, at this stage. We got Ponder and EE. And we'll just suspend another one of those. Alright, so now we can nug that land with Wasteland, and it'll feel just much, much better than just getting that random Tundra. Oh yeah, things are feeling great. That's fine. Like, I have another one of these on call. Blow up that search. Attack for 3. I don't even know that I want to brainstorm yet. There's huge upside of brainstorming to hit Liliana or him, so I'm going to go ahead and do so. Yeah, this all feels great. Well, this is insane. So I think I'm going to put back land, then push on top. I'll draw push, and then next turn I can Shardless past that land. How many counters does this have? That still has 2 counters on it. Yeah, I don't even know that I need to like play out another creature and just give my opponent that value off of Terminus. But I don't really want to draw that land. So I guess it's fine too. Ooh. I guess I can just nug one of your Tundras. Just turn it into a Plains, give you less flexibility. I can also just point it at the fetch land to make cantrips worse. I don't hate that. Now I'll point it at a Tundra. Yeah, you can Source the Plowshare as one of those. Do not care. That seems like a poor time to do that in case you draw a Terminus. But it is possible that my opponent is just playing like something closer to Stoneblade rather than Miracle, since we saw that one Stoneforge milled. So that's something to keep in mind. So we 100% will not be committing the Tarmogoyf to the board here. Alright, so my opponent's last card like basically has to be a counterspell, or I bury them in cards. But if their last card is a counterspell, they go to half of their current life total. Oh, that's disgusting. This shuts off their ability to cantrip into anything that matters. Essentially, only a blind Terminus here would punish me for it. So the real question, I guess, is like, how far down the Stoneblade route is my opponent? I think they're Miracles that happens to have like a small Stoneforge Mystic package, but like I very much could be wrong. So let's just kind of like think generally speaking. I probably want Thoughtseize, Library, Fluster, maybe Click. I might end up like basically boarding against the two decks identically anyway, so it's probably not that big of a deal. And maybe Deluge. So if my opponent's Miracles, this answers Mentor. If my opponent is Stoneblade, this answers True Name Nemesis, so I think this is probably going to be fine. Yeah, Marriage of Compost is sweet. Obviously not good here, but more generally, that card has a lot of potential. We drew, like, literally 30 cards with it against Dredge. So I probably don't want to force in this matchup. Most of the rest of the cards seem fine, honestly. I might be overboarding. Maybe I just choose not to fight with my opponent on the stack at all so that my Shardlesses are always better. I did not end up beating Dredge. The game where I put Compost into play, though, I very much won. But then in the other two, I just had no shot. Just did not interact. Am I supposed to trim one push? I trim one push. I'm going to go ahead and keep this hand. What I do with it will depend entirely on what I draw on my first turn. Like, if I draw another land, I'll just Thoughtseize into him. If I don't, then I'll have a real choice about whether or not I want to play Tar Pit tapped and pass, or whether or not I want to Thoughtseize. Clearly, we needed more Compost, so we hit him every time. Okay, that's a land, but again, it's awkward. Kind of how I was talking about how I just wanted like more colored sources. It's kind of what's happening here. So, if I ignore my Thoughtseize, I can play Tar Pit tapped and go Thoughtseize into him into Lily. Or sorry, go him into Lily. Which seems very powerful. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Or I can go Thoughtseize into Thoughtseize this turn. I like that. So I can take the counterspell and then Thoughtseize again. And then follow that up. Or I can just take the Brainstorm, leave myself with perfect information about my opponent's hand, and then Thoughtseize again. Yeah, Thoughtseize feeling pretty good here. Yeah, I'm going to take the Brainstorm with this first one. And then I'll Thoughtseize again. And if they want to counterspell that to protect their Snapcaster, so be it. Otherwise, I will just take their counterspell. Well, I know the exact contents of their hand, and I have a Liliana to minus and kill that. So this ended up working very well for me. Alright, I can't actually cast that click. So what happens if I cast him to Turok? My opponent will Snapcaster and Brainstorm put their best card on top, so Snapcaster puts him down to 2 cards in hand. Yeah. I think I'm just going to take this guaranteed value here, rather than try to get cute. My opponent can also Snapcaster counterspell this, which I'd be fine with. Could have Wastelanded to play around this, but again, I'm super mana hungry. So now I'll get rid of this click, which I can't cast. And we get rid of that Pyroblast. Now my opponent can attack the Lily and kill it. I don't really care about that. And then I've still got a handful of awesome things left over. I'll basically only care if they slam a Jace. Draw step, click me, that's fine. My hand's very strong, so there's no one thing that they can click me off of that I care about too much. I don't even know what they're supposed to take, honestly. Maybe the Baleful Strix, since it says draw a card on it. I'm going to go ahead and cast the Shardless Agent. It has the highest upside here. Take my opponent's last card. It was a Spell Pierce. Fine with trading here. The only way the trade's bad is my opponent plays Jace. I'll play this. I'll be a little sad if my opponent has a Pyroblast. Man, maybe I'm supposed to Wasteland my opponent so they can't Jace. I'm super scared of that. But I'm so light on mana myself. But the Wasteland isn't contributing to me casting any of my cards. It would only let me cast Lily or Shardless Agent. I'm not going to do it. Like, drawing one more land, one more colored land, will let me deploy double spell in a turn, which would kind of turn the tide of this. Ooh, another sweet card. I think I'm going to become the aggressor. So I'll attack with Baleful Strix and then play out a Tarmogoyf. And potentially try to save this Brainstorm Ancestral combo to set up with a Shardless Agent. This Tarmogoyf is huge. That's fine. I'm not going to dig for like a counterspell here or anything. Don't really want to Brainstorm lock myself, but let's see what we can do here. Well, this is great. So I'll put back him, Forest, Fetch, guess get an Underground Sea. Use 1 mana to suspend this. And then I'll play my Tombstalker. There's going to be a land over there. There's going to be a creature over there. Need to leave my artifact. Can pull out a couple of these. I don't think my opponent has Blood Moon. They're not fetching their basics aggressively enough to make me feel like they have Blood Moon. All right, so we ended up 2-3ing this one. We didn't cash. This deck feels fine against slowish fair decks, so I think I would be okay with playing this deck against, something like Miracles or Grixis Control for an extended period of time. But it didn't feel particularly good against combo decks, and I felt like I was just a little bit too clunky. So changes I would make moving forward is I'd either insert something like Noble Hierarch to ramp mana, or I'd remove the wastelands and play more colored lands. It was really hard for me to cast 2 spells in one turn the vast majority of the time, and that's not where you want to be with Shardless BUG. So I feel some amount of these like Leovolds and Tombstalkers should be like Thoughtseize or Noble Hierarch or Ponder to help with your setup. Like there's some awkward things in this deck, especially with Hymn to Turok. So like you have the Wastelands, the Island, and the Forest that don't let you cast Hymn to Turok on 2, which is really, really, really when you want to cast that. So it's awkward. Compost was sweet though. Really, really liked that card. Like drawing literally 30 cards against Dredge was an accomplishment. I'll have to like make a clip of me drawing 1 billion cards or something like that and post it around because that was cool. But more generally, against something like Grixis Control, this would be a sweet thing to cascade into in the early game. It would probably be pretty devastating. So I think that's all I've got for today. I'm going to go ahead and send you over to someone else who is playing some Magic. I'm going to go ahead and send you over to Truckus in a minute, who is playing the Legacy Challenge with Miracles. So my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University. You can see me again on Monday night, where I'll be playing 4-color Loam. I will have a guest, Loamer Boy. Connor will be joining with me, and we'll be going through a Loam League together. The last one I played went well. I did 4-1, and the deck list feels really great right now. If you enjoyed my content today, please follow my channel. I'm playing Legacy 3 or 4 days a week, so you'll see some awesome content. And if you're really enjoying what I'm doing, please consider, subbing or doing a donation like deck list to support my content and keep Legacy coming. Cheers, folks. Have a good rest of the afternoon, and I'm going to go ahead and host someone else now.